Today's topic is likely to be a little bit controversial, and I understand that. And here's what it is. I do not believe that you can or should outsource your Facebook marketing services. And I understand that this is controversial on two different fronts. So one is that I have a lot of peers who offer this as a service. And two, I know a lot of small business owners think that they either don't have time to do it, don't want to do it, and or don't think they can do it. And I completely get all that. But I am going to tell you why, in spite of that, I still think you have to do it. And don't worry, I'm not just going to tell you that and that you have to do it and then just kind of leave you hanging. My belief about this comes now from many failed attempts to outsource my own Facebook advertising in the belief that I had other more valuable things that I should be doing. And then what I have learned from that as a result. So I'm going to give you some actionable ideas about how this works in the limited time, of a small business owner like me, who's already up to their eyeballs in all the things that we have to get done, and as well as up to their eyeballs in technology overwhelm. All right. So don't click off because you don't want to hear the hard truth. At least hear me out, and then you can decide for yourself if you agree or not. All right. But quickly, before I jump into all of that, I want to make sure that everybody knows about the cheat sheet that I put together for this episode. There's no need to take notes or remember the exact details. Besides, anyway, as I know most of you are doing something else right now. Anyway, right? So that's why each week I create a cheat sheet with everything that I cover, plus each week I try to include some bonus material that isn't covered on the broadcast and is only available in the cheat sheet. And so this week, that bonus material in the cheat sheet is 5, I think, amazing facts about Facebook and my interpretation of those and what they mean for small business owners like us. Okay, so rather than trying to remember everything that I'm saying, just go to sync2. It's the number 2, by the way, sync, S-Y-N-C, 2, crm.com/EP6, as in episode 6, to download this week's cheat sheet. That's sync2crm.com/EP and the number 6. So I wonder how many of you have had the experience that I have had trying to outsource your Facebook ads. So, I think I started with the traditional belief that there were tons of people out there who knew a lot. They were experts in Facebook advertising, and therefore I should be outsourcing my Facebook ads to them rather than learning how to do it myself. Okay? Well, I did that several times actually, and each and every time the result was bad, like really bad. I spent a lot of money trying to, and by the way, so it wasn't just with one person. I tried Facebook guru types that everybody has heard of. I tried people that you've never heard of. I tried people who were really expensive. I tried people who were really reasonable. And in each case, it even without at the time knowing that much about Facebook advertising, I mean, I knew enough to be dangerous, but I wouldn't back then have called myself an expert by any stretch of the imagination. But even with what I did know, it was very clear to me very quickly in each case that what I was getting for a fair amount of money, $2,500 per month, being kind of the standard fee, that I was getting a campaign that could never ever work. Okay. And I saw this repeated over and over and over again. So, and I suspect many of you who have tried to outsource your Facebook advertising have experienced the same. So, is the reason that so many of us have had this same experience that all Facebook ad agencies suck? Not exactly. I think the model sucks, at least down at this end, right, where we are as micropreneurs. I think the model is broken and can't really work for us. I think it is impossible because we can't pay them enough to do this well. And so the conclusion that I have reached, and I'm going to try to back up my argument here in just a minute, is that first of all, you have to learn how to do this. And second of all, once you learn how to do it and you create a system, then and only then should you have a dedicated resource doing this. And so let me explain why. So here's the dirty little secret, if you will, of Facebook advertising. I mean, it shouldn't be a secret, but it seems to be. And that is that Facebook advertising is an iterative process. It's trial and error. It takes a lot of time because 90% of what you put out there doesn't work. And that's a fact that most people don't grasp. Now, you might think, wait, what? 90% of what I put out there doesn't work? That's awful. Like Facebook advertising sucks. No. Actually, it's part of the process. It isn't a bad thing. It's called a learning curve. Okay? But here's the thing. The problem with a micropreneur hiring a micro agency is that the agency, no matter how much they know about Facebook advertising, still has to go through that learning curve for you. And it would appear that we can't pay them enough to absorb that learning curve given the sorts of budgets that we have. Now, so I'm just going to kind of stop here as an aside and just say, before I piss off like a ton of people in the social ad world, that I am about to make a very big generalization. And there may be exceptions out there, but I haven't found them. Okay, so this is based on my experience, and I suspect yours too. But anyway, and just one other thing. I'm not talking about big agencies here, right? Or big brands with, huge ad spends and big budgets, right? I am talking about the sort of people that a micropreneur doing under $100 a day in ad spend can afford to hire, okay? And by the way, and I keep calling them agencies, but it doesn't mean that they're agencies either. I mean, micro agencies could just be a person, right? But they are a person who makes their living doing Facebook ads for other people. That's the distinction, okay? And $100 a day, that's kind of, that's more than most of you will spend, at least for quite a while until you get everything, totally dialed in, or even like maybe never, because you can grow quite nicely on much less than that when you are doing your advertising correctly, okay? So, but let's just use that as a round number, actually, because it's easy. So, $100 a day, that's easy. That's $36,000 a year in ad spend, right? Or less if you're doing less. And then on top of that, now we're talking about hiring someone to run that for you. So, again, in my experience, the sort of a typical fee is about $2,500. Some charge a big setup fee and then less per month, but some know that you're going to leave soon, so they want the money up front. So whatever. For me, that was the number I came up with: $2,500 a month, which is like another $30,000 a year. Now, when you pay a micro agency $2,500 a month to run your Facebook campaigns, remember that you're just, you're one of many clients, And in my experience, what you get for your $2,500, as I said, is a campaign that doesn't work. And the reason, or what I have found, is that it's essentially like a single ad to a single ad set. What I mean by that is not that they only did one ad, I'm not saying that, but there's no creativity. There's no split testing being done, at least certainly not in any sort of a systematic way. There's no iteration, and most, they just throw something out there and hope it sticks, right? And most importantly, though, there is no accountability at all. And I'll tell you why that is. Because the metrics that they show you each week, if they do in fact show them, because I was promised that I would see reports of how great they were doing each and every week, and I never did, but it doesn't matter because those metrics don't mean anything. So, they're showing you, because Facebook does, right? Click-through rates and conversion rates. And, oh, look, here's this really nice ad that I made you, and it has a 6% click-through rate. Isn't that great? Or it has a 50% conversion rate. Isn't that great? No, it isn't great. It might be great, but the fact is you don't know if it's great. The only way to know if they are making you any money at all, and in fact, the only way to know which of the ads that they are running are making you any money at all, is to tie each and every one of those ads all the way back to the sale, right? So that you can say at an ad by ad level what the ROI is, the true ROI, because you can't, as Dom said, right, in one of my classes, you can't eat click-through rate. Yes? So, but the thing is, no one does that. Okay? No one but you, hopefully, because if you don't, you're literally just pissing away money. Okay? But the agencies don't do it, right? They're gonna look at, the click-through rate or whatever and say, oh, this ad's killing it. Doesn't mean squat. All right. So let me move on. So assuming that all of that is true, okay, what's the answer? Well, I believe that Facebook ads are a life skill for any small business owner, that they are like swimming, and that without it, in the very, very near future, you will drown, okay? But the question is how? Okay, maybe you agree, right? But how do you fit all of this in when you already don't have enough hours in the day? And, maybe it's just not your thing. Or, because you'd rather stick pins in your eyes than do Facebook ads, okay? Or maybe you think it could be your thing, but you are not confident that you could learn it. And I completely get all that, okay? And talking about how to make this work could, on its own be a 2-hour discussion, but I'm not gonna do that to you. I'm gonna try to boil this down into a couple of just really key seminal concepts for you, okay? So back to, I believe strongly, fervently, that there is no more important job that you can be doing than sales and marketing for your business. Because if you show me any small business who is successful and thriving and growing, I promise you that what you will find is that the principals are good at sales and or marketing, and they are the principal marketers for their business. Okay? Now, I also believe that whatever it is that you sell is generally, this is the irony, right? Generally the lowest value work that you, as the owner, can possibly be doing. Because in my coaching work with clients, I find that the owners generally spend a huge amount of time doing whatever it is that they sell. And the problem with that is there's some exceptions, but they're rare. That is almost always $10 an hour work. And that means that you can almost always hire someone to do that work for you, as well as you, for a lot less, I promise, okay? Now, I know why this happens, because it's comfortable. It's probably what we started our business doing, and, inertia, we just keep doing it, okay? But here's the thing. If you want a successful, thriving business, you have to be doing $1,000 an hour work, because no one else in your organization can or will. And maybe you're the only one in your organization, which makes it even more important. And, and as you start growing, and by the way, marketing your business, that's $1,000 an hour work. And as you start growing, it becomes $10,000 an hour work, okay? So here's how I'm doing it. So the first thing is, I made myself learn Facebook advertising. And once I overcame that sort of initial resistance and actually got in there, it's just like most things. You think, why was this ever so hard? Why did I get so twisted up about this? It's not, and by the way, and I'm biased here, of course, but you should not try to learn it on your own, because again, that is just a silly waste of time, and therefore money. Time being way more precious than money. Never, ever, ever waste your time learning something that someone already knows and can teach you in a fraction of the time. Because if it isn't worth what they are charging you to teach it, then there's no ROI there in the first place, and you shouldn't be spending any time on it. So that way, it's a very good litmus test that keeps you from chasing shiny objects, right? So there's sort of that double benefit there. But well, never mind. I was going to tell you about Stephen Pressfield's book, The War of Art, which, if you haven't read it, it's great, and he talks about the resistance. But I don't want to go there. I want to keep going. Back on. How do you integrate Facebook ads into your business without outsourcing it in a smart way? Okay. So here's the question. Is creating Facebook ads my favorite thing to do? I mean, to be honest, no, it's not. But here's what I know. It is absolutely, positively one of the most leveraged activities that I can do. And right now, I can do it better than anybody else who I might have at my disposal to do it for me. So I continue to do it for right now. So, based on my own experience, when someone says to me, a coaching client or just, someone I'm having a conversation with tells me that they don't have time to learn Facebook advertising or to do Facebook advertising or marketing in general, here's the thing. You do have time. What you mean to say is that it isn't a priority for you, and you have prioritized it beneath all of the other things that you do instead. And I am arguing that there are very few things more important than learning how to bring new customers into your business at a profit. Because think about this, y'all. If tomorrow everything else went away, all your clients, all your money, all your employees, if you can do this one thing, just to know how to acquire customers at a profit, if you can do that, even after all those things disappear tomorrow, you still have a business. And if you can't, you don't. You don't have a business. Simple as that. If you cannot bring in a new customer profitably, you do not have a business. Whoever in your business that does know how to do that, they have a business anytime they want. And I'll give you a case in point. So one of the clients in my group coaching program owns very successful business, and he was paying an employee to do all of his marketing, including all of his Facebook marketing. And, things are going along. One day that employee leaves. So not only does he leave, but he takes the customer list with him and opens up a direct competitor to my client. So to add insult to injury, there's nobody left who knows how to do what it is that this guy did. And so now what happens is that this guy is using everything that he learned to take my client's customers away from him. So, now, it's that the owner and his new marketing person went through my group coaching program so that can never happen again. And this is what I mean about, you, the owner, the reason why you may not do it forever, but you have to know this absolutely critical life skill. And I grant you that scenario itself is kind of, far out there. It's a little bit of an edge case, but I promise you that scenario plays itself out in myriad ways all the time. Partners split, people leave, what have you. Okay. So I'll say it again because it's so important. If you know how to bring in customers at a profit, then it really doesn't matter what business you are in. That is business. And what you sell is extraneous. So that's why I say that this is a life skill, like swimming. But you have to know how to do it because one day it may save your life. And people have always asked me, some of you who know me, that how have I been so successful in so many different industries that when I didn't know anything about them when I started? And my answer has always been, I've always said, I could be selling pork bellies for all I care, right? And that's, the rest of it is just the business that we are in, not business, okay? So again, for the moment, I still do my own Facebook advertising. Does that mean I will always do it? Probably not. So the question is, when can you hand it off and to whom? Because we've already established, I don't think the outsourcing model works at all. So the answer is when you absolutely know how to do it and you've done all the hard work of figuring out all the nuances of using it in your business with your target audience, and you have a repeatable system, then and only then should you hand it off to someone else. And I also believe that that person that you're going to hand it off to has to be internal, within your control. They don't necessarily have to do only this, and they could be virtual, depending on the size of your business, right? But you have to remain involved. This has to be a core competence of yours, you, the business owner, that you are just handing off to someone else, doing the parts, but never abdicating responsibility. I think what I'm trying to say is that as compared to the outsource model, is that the expertise and control is internal rather than external, okay? And guess what? $2,500 a month buys a lot of employee, right? Probably a lot more than what you actually need to run your Facebook campaigns, because now you've already done all the time and, in the intensive work of getting it all figured out. Which is why I say maybe they do something else, but it will, it will pay for a lot of that. Now, by the way, well, never mind. Well, okay, yeah, I'll go down that path. Why not? What I'm talking about is really, it's no different than, let's just say that you started your business because you were a great carpenter, right? And then once you figured out how to do what you do, then you handed that, or you should, I hope, hand that off to others. But in order to be anything other than a great carpenter with, cash flow that goes up and down, up and down, up and down, because you're just a carpenter for hire, right? You have to learn how to acquire customers at a profit. And then you have a real business. And then once you have that figured out, then, you can hand that off too, because that's another skill, just like carpentry, that you have and that you can oversee. All right. So hopefully that all makes sense. I got on just a little bit more of a rant than I intended, but I mean, I have learned this the hard way. And so I feel really, really passionate about it. And I want you to learn from my mistakes. Don't repeat them. Again, I want to tell you about the cheat sheet, which is for this episode, which is all the notes from this episode plus some bonus material, 5 amazing facts about Facebook and what they mean for small business owners. You can get that at sync2crm.com/EP6, as in episode 6 of Facebook Live with Kim Snider. And with that, I am going to go over here to your questions. Roy says, hi Kim, can I target for a specific group member with custom audiences? So when you say group, I'm assuming that you mean, Roy, that you mean Facebook group, and the answer is no. Facebook does not expose group members in any way, shape, or form. Way back in the day, there used to be black hat ways that you could scrape them and get to them. Facebook shut that down, and no way to target them at all. So not with emails, not with anything. And that is on purpose. If for some reason you have a question that I didn't get answered here, or you agree with me, disagree, whatever, you would like to comment on anything that I've done here, our Facebook group is Facebook Ad Questions. Speaking of Roy's question, Facebook Ad Questions. If you're not already a member, you can put your questions and comments over there. All right. Sam says, do you recommend any software to help you run your ads? Yes, I do. So there's a couple of different categories of software, Sam. So one of which I sell, I developed and sell. Okay. So let me tell you the main 3 as I see them. So the first one is something like Espresso, which allows you to quickly and easily split test tons of different options, different ads, without having to do, like you could get 100 ads out there without having to do the work of creating 100 ads. I like Espresso, but I actually don't use it. I've tried it like 2 or 3 times, and the idea is appealing, but for one, I don't know. I keep ending up back at Power Editor, frankly. So I don't use it. I really prefer, I prefer to sit down and think, about my ads a little bit more carefully and rather than doing it that way. So anyway, but it's a viable option. I like it. I just for whatever reason, I don't use it. Now, a second category of software is software like mine, Sync2CRM, that integrates your email platform and or CRM with Facebook's ad platform, so that you can, number one, get your lead ads that are submitted on Facebook back into your CRM so that you can then market to them. That's one thing. And then going the other direction, you can use your CRM data to create custom audiences out of, which is very helpful when, for there are a lot of reasons you wouldn't want to do it, but one of the biggest ones is that it saves you a lot of wasted ad spend because you're excluding people who've already taken the actions that you want. It also allows you to build very full-featured funnels. You can read about all that on my website. I won't give you the Sync2CRM sales pitch here, but Sync2CRM and its other software like it are another category. So obviously I recommend that and think it's useful. And then the third category, believe it or not, here's the thing. I'm going to tell you that my software, Sync2CRM, is optional, depending on how deep you go into Facebook advertising. But there's a piece of software that is not mine that I think is not optional, and that is Wicked Reports. This idea about the only way you know what you are doing is working, if it's working and how it's working, is to tie each ad back to the sale. And the only tool right now that does that is Wicked Reports. And for the moment, it integrates really seamlessly with Infusionsoft and Stripe. I am in their active campaign beta. And by the way, I'm not getting anything for recommending them. But I hope if you do, that you tell them that you heard about it from me, because I'm one of their biggest advocates. Soon they will be releasing, I think, 2 more integrations. Oh no, they also integrate very fully with Entreport and I believe MailChimp. But anyway, you just have to have it. And the pushback that I get on Wicked Reports is that it's expensive. It's like $279 a month, I think, for the package that you need. But here's the thing. It's not expensive at all and you have to have it. And you have to assume that that's like a cost of doing business of Facebook ads, I believe. And, if you're doing $50 a day, let's just say, which is about what it takes to do a reasonable Facebook campaign with a reasonable amount of data that you can learn from, then $279, you could be throwing away $50 a day and have no idea that you're literally getting no impact because you're seeing lots of click-through rates and lots of conversions, and I think this must be working. And point of fact, you actually are just throwing away $50 a day. When you think of it that way, then $279 makes a lot of sense. And then to go one step further, the opportunity cost of not knowing how to prune and scale, how to cut the ads that aren't working, because and potentially cutting the wrong ones that look like they aren't working, right? What happens, you guys? So here's the thing I always tell people. What time is it? 12:36. Okay, imagine that you've got a campaign that has a 6% click-through rate and like a 50% conversion rate. Okay, and then you have another campaign that has like you got 20 conversions, compared to 20,000 on the other campaign. But all 20 of those people, so like Sync to CRM, I just looked at my numbers. So I have like a $7,000 right now, $8,000 lifetime value on a Sync to CRM customer. Okay, imagine that out of those 20 people, 10 of them bought, right? But out of the one that had 20,000 conversions, 1 bought. Which is the better ad? And Facebook doesn't tell you that. That's why you have to tie it back to the sale. You have no idea. And so presumably you would cut the second one because it looks like it's crap. And the first one that looks so great, you'd keep running and you'd be running the wrong one. What's $279 a month compared to that? And so this is like a totally different discussion. And by the way, I'm going to have to look and see what other questions you've got. But here in just a second, because I've gotten off on a tangent. But a number, you should never look at a number and just on its own and say, ooh, that's expensive or cheap. It's not. It's just a number. The only thing that matters is your return on investment from that, whatever it is. And, anyway, all right, I'm going to stop there. You didn't know you're gonna get way off on that. Sam says, I've tried out espresso too, and I'm not convinced. Okay, let's see. Oh, good. I'm glad, Sam. Thanks. Okay, so did I get through all of them? Yeah, I did, all 3. So, split testing, integration, CRM integration, and ROI reporting, which, as far as I'm concerned, is non-negotiable. All right, well then we'll cut it right there, y'all. But if you have any other questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those, and not just me, by the way. I hope others, because we've got a lot of smart people in the Facebook ad questions group, so hopefully you can get answers from them as well. But feel free to hop on over there, post them. Remember, synctocrm.com/EP6 if you want the cheat sheet for today's episode. And I am thrilled that y'all joined me. Those of you who are live, this is like the biggest world record I've had in terms of live viewers. So I'm really happy about that. Thank you for that. And those of you watching us after the fact, I hope you found this helpful too. we will see you, same time, same station next week. I do this every Tuesday at noon Eastern time, so be sure and tune in then. Thanks, y'all. See you later. Bye-bye.